Which games are must bets for week 18 of the 2023 and now 2024 NFL regular season? Let's finish this season strong, entering the playoffs. Week 18 can always be one of the trickiest to navigate in the NFL. And that's why I'm here, to help you win some money this final week of the NFL regular season. If that sounds good, don't forget to Gronk spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for weekly NFL best bets, including the 2024 NFL playoffs, here on the Bottom Line View. Let me know in the comments section below your best bet, your favorite look for week 18. Last week, 4-2, looking to finish the regular season strong in week 18 and push for a great run in the playoffs. So join me for the playoffs. You can do so by subscribing to the channel, and you can do so by following me on Patreon for a deeper experience with me betting the NFL. $3 a month on Patreon, link in the description. I'll put it in the pinned comment if you want to check out what I'm betting every week this NFL season. And that will include the playoffs and the Super Bowl for that matter. But let's have some fun finishing this regular season up in style. With our first pick, I am going with an unconventional look for the final week of the season. Many think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are just simply going to roll into Baltimore, stroll up, and back their way into the playoffs. But it's not that simple when you're playing the Baltimore Ravens. Give me the Baltimore Ravens +3 in the hook to take down their biggest division rival, who they have revenge in their hearts from earlier in this season when they went to Pittsburgh and the Steelers handed one of their only losses this season and handed them a very fluky loss for that matter. Now Pittsburgh, with their season on the line, enters Baltimore. Once upon a time, something similar happened when the Ravens were the number 1 seed in 2019. Can anyone guess what happened in that game? If you guess that the Baltimore Ravens handed the Steelers with Robert Griffin III at quarterback and 6 Pro Bowlers sitting on the bench, a 28-10 loss, with the Steelers needing to win the game to get to the playoffs, you would be correct. That is exactly what happened the last time this exact scenario took place. There is history that tells you to back the Ravens here. Tyler Huntley's at quarterback for the Ravens. Tyler Huntley's one of the better backups in the league, especially athletically speaking, from an arm talent and a mobility standpoint. And while I don't absolutely adore Tyler Huntley, he's certainly not Lamar Jackson. Are you going to tell me that Mason Rudolph is levels better than Tyler Huntley? Are you here to tell me that Mason Rudolph deserves to be with a worse team on the road, a 3.5-point favorite, just because they need to win the game? The Ravens could sit Lamar. They could sit Ronnie Stanley. They could sit Roquan Smith. I still think there's an argument that the Ravens are just as talented as the Steelers, or just as good as the Steelers. And then you look at the trends of this rivalry, and everything tells you to back the Ravens. The Ravens and the Steelers, 7 games in a row in this rivalry, it has been decided by 1 score. 7 games in a row between Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin. You're getting 3 in the hook in this scenario. Many of those games were decided by a field goal or less, no matter the venue, no matter the quarterback. You factor in that Mike Tomlin is a much better underdog than he is a favorite. That also helps. And then you think about absurd statistics and trends, like the fact that the dog in this matchup between Tomlin and Harbaugh is 23-5-3 versus the spread. That is 82%. 82%. In the betting world, that is absurd. You then talk about in this rivalry as well that when the spread is 3 or higher, they're hitting at 90.5%, 19-2. That is absurd. Take away and strip away the quarterbacks, the players that you don't know who's going to be playing and who's not for Baltimore, and you just talk about the logos in every scenario that they've ever played. The game has been close. And oftentimes, the underdog rises to the occasion due to the bad blood in this rivalry, due to the fact that it's often a defensive game, which you would expect it to be in this game, because the Ravens have a great defense, and the Steelers need to win with defense. So, I love the Ravens here. I think that at home, they finish their regular season strong, no matter if Lamar is playing or not, and they try their very best to knock off the Steelers and knock their biggest rival right out of the playoffs and don't even give them a chance to get into the playoffs, no matter what happens with the Buffalo Bills. So my first pick will be the Ravens plus 3.5, potentially 4 for this game. The next pick, my second best bet, is the Houston Texans favored by a point on the road at the Indianapolis Colts. Another rivalry game within the AFC South, within the AFC, to make the playoffs. And this one is a little simpler, although I'll go through all the reasons I love the Texans here. It really fundamentally comes down to I love CJ Stroud. And if you follow this channel, if you've subscribed to me for quite some time, you know that, right? I've been talking about how good CJ Stroud is, how I would have picked him first overall in the draft, all that stuff since, way back when he was on Ohio State, probably dating back to when I first talked about him in May, right? In March, April, near the draft, right? Draft season. And all the way through the season, I've talked about how good he is. And the fundamental back here and the fundamental play and handicap here is CJ Stroud is better than Gardner Minshew. I don't care where the game is, if it's on Jupiter, Mars, Pluto, if it's in the local high school field, I'm backing CJ Stroud with this season on the line over Gardner Minshew. I like Gardner Minshew. Seems like a good guy. Has a good personality. Can he throw the football and play the game of football like CJ Stroud? Absolutely not. Okay, so people worry about the Texans being an immature young football team with young coaches. Well, the Colts have a young coach and a young quarterback. I will say this, CJ Stroud, the last time he was in a playoff game, he looked pretty good. Remember when he played the historic Georgia defense and he lit them up in a way we've never seen? That was CJ Stroud in a playoff game, and this is basically a playoff game. If the Texans win, they get in the playoffs. If the Colts win, they get in the playoffs. So for me, I'm backing that kid that I saw in that game at Ohio State versus Georgia. And I think the Texans' defense will come to play because they're the better defense in this game. The Colts' secondary is not very good. I think CJ Stroud can attack this secondary, specifically the coverage that they utilize the most, which is zone coverage. CJ Stroud, 71% completion percentage versus zone this year, 112 passer rating versus zone this year. I think he'll find a lot of success against Gus Bradley's defense, which is primarily zone. It's really like a lesser version of the Texans defense, the Texans scheme that DeMeco Ryans utilized in San Francisco and now in Houston. On top of that, the Colts' main avenue to score points is running the football. First of all, Ryan Kelly, their center, who's graded as the 7th best center in the NFL this year, according to PFF, who's played much of the season healthy, might be out for this game. He did not practice on Wednesday, and he really looks like he might be out. So that could be a huge loss to their running game and to the communication of their picking up blitzes and stunts in that matter at the center position, because a lot of centers are responsible for protections. So he's a big deal, right? And I do believe that the Texans front has been getting better and better and better and dominated the game against Tennessee. They've also been excellent against the run, where they rank first in success rate against the run this season, even higher than a team like New England this year, who's been historically good against the run. So the Texans have been even better than them in success rate against the run this year. The Colts need to run the ball to really have success. I think the Texans have been the better, more talented team the whole year for the most part. And I feel like the Colts have been one of the biggest frauds in the NFL all year and have been not as good as their record would suggest. I think I want to back DeMeco Ryans, Bobby Slowick, and most importantly, CJ Stroud over the Colts, even though the game's on the road. Give me the Texans -1 as a best bet. My third best bet of week number 18, the final week of the regular season. We're going to my New England Patriots. Yes, sir, I had to do it. And actually, funny enough, I made the Patriots a best bet the first time they played the Jets, and it hit. And the second time they played the Jets, you know I'm going to make the Patriots a best bet. I don't care if the quarterback is Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones, or Tom Brady. I'm taking the Patriots when they play the Jets, specifically at home. They haven't lost to the New York Jets franchise since 2015. It's now 2024. Guys, that's 9 years ago. They haven't lost to the New York Jets at home since 2010 in the divisional game, the 2011 year, but the 2010 season. That's how long ago it's been since New England lost to the Jets in Gillette. And this game could potentially see some weather, which New England is often good in. This game, you know, is going to be a grinded out affair. Belichick hates the Jets. And the biggest factor why I want to back the Patriots is that it might be Bill Belichick's last game coaching the Patriots, which to me is very nostalgic. This, to me as well, is a huge emotional boost for the Patriots to win this game. There's no reason the Jets want to win this game. The Patriots have all the reason in the world. If they have any doubt in their mind, if Belichick can play this into their minds at all, that this might be his last game as a Patriot head coach for all he's done for this franchise, 6 Super Bowls, that must matter. So I think that New England will win. I think New England will cover. I think New England maybe blows the Jets out. I think also that it's going to be hard for the Jets to score. I think New England will stop Breece Hall in the run game, and Trevor Siemian is the Jets quarterback. It's not going to go well for the Jets offense. So give me the Patriots to win. Give me the Patriots to cover. The history suggests so, and the storyline is too great to not motivate the Patriots to victory. New England wins. New England covers. My fourth best bet for week number 18, the Tennessee Titans as a dog at home to knock the Jags potentially right out of the playoffs. Their biggest rival. Give me Mike Vrabel in the ultimate Mike Vrabel underdog spot. Just like Bill Belichick, this might be the final game for Mike Vrabel as the Titans coach. He's done some good things there, and the players love him in Tennessee. And while I'm not certain that is the case, I certainly think this will be Ryan Tannehill's last game as the Titans quarterback, which he will be starting this game because Will Levis is hurt. Derrick Henry, this very well could be his last game in Tennessee. And obviously the players love and adore him. And we know that these games are usually close. There was actually a game last year led by Josh Dobbs that allowed the Jags to get in the playoffs. That was super, super close. And it was in Jacksonville. This game's in Tennessee. Now, Tennessee's been struggling. But one place they do not struggle is at home. Tennessee's been very good at home this year. Tennessee has 4 of their 5 wins at home. They're 4-4 at home. One of the losses was with Case Keenum at quarterback for the Texans, I believe. But still, I mean, like, most of their losses were against quality teams. And even some of their wins were against quality teams. They beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals. They beat Justin Herbert and the Chargers. So they did a good job for the most part at home. And their offensive line is the main reason, because they get a lot better when they play at home. And that's their biggest weakness. Their offensive line stinks. The worst in the NFL. I've told you that many times. I told you that last week. Right? 4 losses, all by 1 score, which is important when you're getting 5.5 points. And 2 of those games were in overtime, including the Texans game, including the Colts game. So these games in Tennessee are usually very close, and Tennessee might win it. On top of that, this is a rivalry game, the chance to eliminate a division rival. On top of that, Mike Vrabel's press conference, where he said he hates to lose. He effing hates it. I'm ready to run through a brick wall. I don't know about you, and I certainly think the Titans players will be ready to as well. And then you talk about the Jags. They can't run the ball. Their O-line stinks. Trevor Lawrence has about 3 or 4 injuries he's dealing with, and he has to play this game because the Jags need to win to play to advance. So you factor all of those things in. Jacksonville not playing great football. They played well against the worst team in the NFL at home, but they've lost 4 of their last 5, and now they're going on the road to a place that's hard to win, no matter who it is. I like the Titans to maybe even pull this off, but I think 5.5 is way too many points for a team that typically plays close games, especially in their building. So give me Tennessee plus 5.5 to make the Jags earn a playoff spot. My final best bet of week number 18, give me the Buffalo Bills -3 versus the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins have so many injuries at this point. It is unbelievable. The Miami Dolphins are dealing with did not practice players on Wednesday. Armstead, their left tackle, who has a knee, back, and ankle injury. Bradley Chubb, who's out for the season. Jalen Phillips is out for the season. One of their starting linebackers is out for the season. Xavier Howard did not practice. Raheem Mostert did not practice. Zach Sealer did not practice. Jalen Waddle did not practice. All of those players did not practice on Wednesday, and many of them probably will not play. Daquan Jones, meanwhile, for Buffalo, is back. He was one of the best D tackles in the NFL before he got hurt earlier this year. The Buffalo Bills, in a must-win spot, are playing a banged-up Miami team. Their defense is playing as well as any defense in the NFL over the past month. Their run defense has been very, very good. I think they have the proper personnel to slow down the horizontal stretch run game of Miami, forcing the ball into Tua's hands and making him play in 3rd and long situations, especially if Josh Allen is able to spark this offense early and the Bills are able to get out to a lead. I think the Dolphins will be in a lot of danger, just like they were in the first game where the Bills annihilated the Miami Dolphins in a similar type of spot where both teams were being hyped up, but Buffalo showed up bigger and better. Josh Allen has owned the Miami Dolphins. He has never played better against any team than the Miami Dolphins. And the Miami defense might be without both their edge rushers, one of their middle linebackers. Their safeties are beat up, although they probably will play. Xavier Howard might be out, which will thrust Eli Apple into the lineup, who can't cover me. Guys, I think the Buffalo Bills will win this game because they need to. And if you're telling me that this is your win and you're in, you lose and you're out, and you're picking Josh Allen to do it, and it's not even like if Miami loses, they're out of the playoffs. They just would move down a seed or 2, right? They would lose their division title. Buffalo would win the division. Miami would still be the 6th seed, but Buffalo has a chance to win this game and be the 2 seed and avoid Baltimore until the AFC Championship and play in front of the Bills Mafia in the first 2 rounds. So to me, this is a massive game for Buffalo. It doesn't really matter as much for Miami, although they could say they're the AFC East champions. Buffalo has pretty much owned Miami. Miami is very beat up. And Buffalo's defense, I love how they're playing. As long as Buffalo can get their run game going just a little bit, I expect Josh Allen to make many incredible plays as he always does against this team and come out on top against Tua and the Dolphins. So give me the Bills as my final and fifth best bet of Week 18. Those are my favorite picks versus the spread for Week 18, the final week of the regular season this year. Good luck. Let me know what your favorite picks are in the comment section below. And I can't wait for the playoffs. See you there. Peace.